We're back for more. We're back for more mixing. This is part 2 of a series in this song. I'm going to try and stream as much as I can of this song, and hopefully you guys get something out of it. I'm coming back from a couple days off. My brother came into town, so I smoked way too much weed yesterday. So I was like really high, and now I'm just like a little bit dazed and confused, so bear with me today. But we're going to be in Pro Tools. We're going to be doing a melodic rap record. I'm going to be really getting the drums pumped up, show you what I've done so far with the drums, and then we're going to start popping in the vocals and everything. So if you're here, say what's up. And also if you're here, you're probably really into mixing, mastering, sonics, you know, producing, all that good stuff. We're going to get pretty deep. I go pretty deep on these live streams. And if you want to access the replay of all the live streams, you can join the channel. $5 a month. That's up to you. If you're cheapo, all good. Show up to the live streams when we have them. What's up, Philippe? How you doing, bro? It's good to see you. It's always good to see people coming through over and over again. Hopefully you guys get a lot out of this stuff. And share the show if you do. If you're live right now, just share it to your Instagram page, your Facebook page, whatever. All right, let's get in. Let's get into Pro Tools. So if you did not see the first part of this series of me mixing this record, I've already set everything up for my drums, and I got my drum mix going pretty well. 808's in, bass is in. I'm waiting on some new stems for the bass and the 808, but I'm mixing as is so I can get these vocals in. But I'll show you guys kind of what I've done so far with the drums and bass to get things going. First, let's just kind of listen to where it's at. Okay, so we just got things kind of glued together, tight, punchy. I've blended in a kick sample to what was already there because I felt like the kick was just not really hitting for me. I got the clap going with a little lo-fi, little spreader going on. It's clipping. If you're using your eyes to mix and you're like, yo, it's clipping out, bro. I really don't know what to tell you. I think you should probably not be in audio if you're worried about things going red like that, because this is whatever. If you can't hear it, you can't hear it. Also, I got the hi-hat, doing a little EQ spreader there as well. AR chorusing, just to kind of get the hi-hat more in the mix. That's all going through my drum mix bus with the NLS buses. Jason Joshua got it from some producer. I'm not really sure where it came from, but super dope. Gives me really nice harmonics to the drums. And then it's going through a drum master bus, which has the R bass, Shadow Hills, little gate, so I can gate out some of the noise. And again, you got some output clipping there. And then some black box analog design, giving me some saturation. And then the BX Digital doing a little bit of cleanup and a little gain staging. So that's it right there for the drums. And then that goes to the master bus. Variable Mu, love it, manly, one of my favorites. BX Digital, I'm gonna use this for shaping and for some gain. You know, like you can see a lot of these are like clipping on the output, right? Like the output's like, it's over, right? That's fine. It's all good. I'm gonna make up all my gains as I go. This is kind of part of mixing. And then the master plan on the final stage of the master bus, which is doing some limiting and very little gain on this. So bypassing all the master stuff out. This is what it sounds like. So we got quite a bit of headroom still. Just drums, bass are in so far. Got things pretty tight, I think. The kick drum, this is kind of what I had. This is the sample I had, and then I'll show you the layered sample I put in. Okay, some more fatness, some more roundness at the bottom. Really like that. This kick was just like demolished. It was like clipped out. The producer just clipped the shit out. If you guys are producers, you're making beats and shit, you guys really got to pay attention to the sonics, because you're going to make it damn near impossible to mix something if you clip out your shit really heavy, right? you think it sounds good, but it really doesn't sound good. And when it turns into a record, it really sounds bad. So like this kick was like super clipped out. I had to like change the gain and resample it. And then I had to layer in another kick sample just to make it work. Because without it, it's just like this really cardboard boxy kind of sound, super clipped, no low end left, right? And then the 808, I just did a little EQ, that's it. Taking out a little bit of the top. And we might mess with that as well. And the bass as well. So the bass, I think maybe we can make it a little wider because it is kind of like a pad bass. So kind of an interesting thing. Typically when the bass has high end in it and it has like the aliasing, the distortion, you can hear the plugins that the producer put on it. When that happens, I got to be a little bit more aware of that when I put vocals in, because that's taking up space, right, where the vocals would sit. So for example, if I put on, first I'm just going to compress this a little bit so I can hold it together. But if I put an EQ on, you can kind of see there's going to be some stuff all the way up here on a bass, which doesn't really make too much sense. So, and you could see that sizzle and all that. It's cool. It sounds cool when you solo it out, but this could be like very, very useful for vocal reverb returns, high end and splashy stuff on the top with cymbals or hi-hats or things like that. You really got to figure out what you want taking up that top end. You know what I mean? So don't always just give the top end to a bass because it sounds cool. You know, because you got synths that come in, you got an ARP, you got all this other shit. Maybe you got a guitar, maybe you got, you know, anything that's going to take up that area. And then you're letting this bass synth pad thing take it up when really it should just be taking up the bottom. So sometimes I think like, yo, do I really want to give up that space to a synth bass? Like, maybe if there's like parts where just the synth bass is playing with the drums and the vocals are like just rap in the mids, fine, you know, automate it. So here right now, I'm just going to start to take out a little bit of that top. Because there's like a cool little sweep thing going on in the synth, probably like a modulation of an EQ when you hold the pad down, where it's going which is kind of cool. But once we put stuff in, you're going to notice like you don't even hear it. Why? Like you're not going to hear that when the vocals come in. We got vocal reverbs and all that shit returning, and then you got this like little top. It's just not going to. Sounds cool when you solo it, like I said, but bro, we're making records, we're mixing. We're not just making a sound design for one sound. So I'm gonna compress this just a little bit so I can hold it together. So it doesn't go, you know, I want it to like really show me the notes. And that'll translate really well to smaller speakers. With bass, I do like to go pretty big on the ratio, like 4:1, 3:1. Just so that I can really hold it together. So for every 4 dB, 1 dB comes out on the compression. So let's try this out and give it a shot here. Oh, thumbs down. Someone didn't like that. All right, let's go. All right, so a big thing here is like when you're compressing bass, you want to make sure you set your attack and release right, especially on a padded bass, because it's like modulating. It's going right? So you're going to see that compression kind of like going up and down and with waves, because the lower voltage, when the EQ is modulating, the lower voltage is going to hit harder. It's just more voltage, right? So when you go into like 40 hertz and shit, it's going to compress harder. It's going to hit the compressor harder. So sometimes a better way to set this, and I've talked about this before, just smash the shit out of it and really listen, and then set your attack and release. right? Really good way to figure out how the compressor's pumping with that sound, and then bypass it in and out and make sure you're not exaggerating any of those things. Like for example, if you have something going like very flat, and you compress it and all of a sudden it's going, you know your compressor's set wrong. You're releasing too fast, or maybe you're attacking too fast and releasing too slow, etc. So you really want to get the vibe of the pumping, you know, the rhythm, whatever you want to get out of the compression, you want to set it right so that it pumps with it. I just realized that I really tune in for the Bradley sound effect. yeah, dude. Always making the sounds with my mouth. I don't know. I just, you know, I grew up singing, so the best way for me to do is vocalize it. But yeah, we'll bypass this in and out, and you'll see what I'm saying. So I like that because it kind of brings the synth bass in that pad, like really lets it sit where it needs to sit, instead of it kind of like coming in and out and feeling like all weird and wavy like that. So I just want it to stay up still a little bit more. That's what the compression's for, is like, stay right there, you know, hold it together, just stay right there. And when we talk about stay right there, I'm talking about like the front to back and the up and down, you know? So like volume, when you go on volume, it's like front to back. So if you're like going down in volume, it's going to make it more dynamic. It's going to make it feel like it's going away and it's coming back. You know what I mean? It's like if someone's walking away from you, running up to you and talking, you know, it's like they're getting closer to you. So that's what that feels like in the mid range. So that's what I'm going to do there. And I'm just going to hold it together, and then I'm going to blend it into the mix. Now, another thing, just to give me a little bit more on the 808, because you can see the bass plays by itself up front, and then it plays by itself right here as well. So you really got to use automation on this kind of stuff, but I want the 808 to hit and take over on these parts, especially in the middle. So what I'll do is, you know, you could use a compressor, a multi-band compressor. You could use an EQ and sidechain. You could use really whatever you want. I'm just going to do this like the super easy way and use track spacer. Everyone knows this plugin by now, right? And then I'm going to send the 808 to that. So every time the 808's hitting in this low, I want the 808 to really be that focus on that sub area. Because if you start stacking up voltage in the sub area, you're going to clip out your master faster. You're not going to get as loud of a record. Usually with this kind of trap shit and hip hop stuff, it needs to be loud. It needs to be competitive. -7 LUFs, -5 LUFs, -3. Like shit gets really loud in this genre. So I'm going to make sure that I can still hit that loudness. And the loudness is really about giving space and giving voltage to the things that are important, right? So I'm going to go new track here, and I'm just going to call this, let's just do a mono send here. And actually, I'll do stereo just to be safe, because sometimes this track spacer doesn't see the mono stuff. We'll just call this 808 sidechain. And then I always put kill at the end, because I don't want to have the return going. Like that's just gonna duplicate the signal basically. And then on this send, I'll just go 100% on that, right? So option clicking, zeroing it out. And then on the bass here on the track spacer, I want to key input on that kill chain. So the side chain, which I don't see it here, which is really weird. And this sometimes happens with track spacer and you have to like reinitiate it or whatever, but kind of a pain in the ass, but you know, let's see if it comes up now. So on track spacer, go to the key input, and then you should see the bus here. Still don't see it, that's weird. Okay, so I'll just use transformer 1. It really doesn't matter. I could use duck mono, okay? And then make sure you're going out duck mono here. I don't know why sometimes you just don't see the send that you made. Doesn't make any sense to me. Could just be a weird Pro Tools error or something. Okay, so I'm sending 100% from the 808 to the sidechain of the track spacer. On the track spacer, I'm going to, I don't need the update right now. Fuck, these plugins always need updating. On this, I want to kind of set the attack and release on this as well. So you have an attack setting and a release. Usually I want the attack a little bit faster, so the 808 is going to hit, because the 808 is kind of transient, and then the release can be pretty quick too, but you want to pay attention to BPM and stuff and really listen, use your ears. And then on the main screen, we're going to use this, and we're only going to do it on the low end, right? Like the low, like, 80, 90 hertz and below sort of vibe. And then this is the amount that it's going to compress. I'm going to totally over exaggerate this so you can really hear the pumping. So that really allows the 808 to take over that low end on that part. And then you still hear the sub bass. It's just more of like the mids and the highs. Obviously you can have the 808 take over even more by sweeping up, right? And I'll just kind of let you listen to all that, but really pay attention to the 808 and the sub bass and how much you're hearing of each and in what frequency areas. So I over exaggerated, just like I was showing you on the compression, like smash the hell out of it, set the attack and release, right? Because the release was too long to where the 808 was hitting and it's like, and then you get this like, you really want that to pump with the music better. So it's like, boom, boom, boom. You got to really feel it out with the beat. That's really, really important. So now I'm going to back off all of this, right? Like I do not want to take over that much. And then I also do not want to go that high. So maybe like 150 would be like as high as I go, but I'm using my ear here for sure. And the synth bass, you can also put it into the sides to get rid of it being right in the middle as well. And conflicting with that 808. But for the most part, like I'm really using my ears and dialing in the low end, right? So let's hear it now. So that's going to save me a shit ton of voltage. And now I might want to just play around with the balances, right? Of the 808 and the bass. I think the bass could come up just a little bit, right? Let's try it out. See, so now it's a nice little texture, and you can also open up the high end a little bit more if you wanted to for now. But like I said, once we throw the vocals in, you're going to be like, nah, we want that high end back for the vocals. What do you got here? Isn't the synth bass a bit out of tune? Yes, it is, 100%. So as I already stated in this stream, I'm waiting for other stems for this 808 in the bass track because they're not the right stems, like I can already tell. And the producer sent me the wrong stems, but I'm still setting levels and everything because once the right stems come in, I can just pop those in and adjust. So good ear, Joseph. I mean, for sure they're out of tune. I mean, that's super obvious. Hopefully everybody else gets that. But also detuning could be cool, right? Not this out of tune. I think this is a little too detuned, but yeah, good catch. All right, so bass 808, you might like, okay, I'll set it, forget it sort of thing. You can also just like mute the bass for now if you wanted to, because it is so out of tune with the 808. You could also tune shit, right? Like I could literally put these into tune by using auto tune or, you know, something to help it tune up. You know, just look at the vocals and go to this and you got a D major scale, right? So just pop it into D major on this. This might help it just, you know, as you're mixing and you're like, God, that's driving me crazy. Because yeah, I get it. You know, that shit does drive me crazy as well. Just go to auto tune and throw pro on and put it in instrument. So on here you can go bass instrument, bam. And then what do I say, D major, right? Bam. So just making sure that I'm in the right key. So going back to auto tune, yeah, D major. Okay, so now I can just kind of tune this up a little bit. This could help with that detuning issue, but let's set the auto tune a little bit, you know. No, that's terrible. Now it's like detuning it even more. Yeah, I'll just wait for the right stem, but just showing you those techniques, you guys, you know, just look at it as a listening experience and a learning experience. You know, if you're side chaining, like if you have an 808 and a bass going, you really don't want to stack up those low end frequencies. It's just going to start sounding like shit. You get really, really bogged down. So I do have this sound in, just this one sound. You know, it's just here. I can leave it, take it or leave it, but I just have it in there because it was something interesting to listen to while I set my bass. But I think at this point, I want to throw the vocals in. So let's go to the vocals here and we will listen to like the lead here to start. So I got a lead, I got a background lead. And here's another thing, like you could see these stems are totally fucked up, right? Like look at how small the waveform is. Like it's obvious that this was recorded really badly with like very bad gain, right? So because it was 24-bit audio though, like this doesn't matter too much as long as your noise floor is like really low in your room. But this is going to be an issue, right? So you can use the clip gain or you can normalize, right? But let's listen to what he's got going on because some of this is theirs that they already had in the session, and this is going through a Vox bus. So this Vox bus here, I'm going to unmute it, and it has a de-esser, Pro Q3 doing some stuff, and an Avalon. And this is probably where the gain got screwy. Like you have a input selection, you have a mic or a line. So it's on the mic input. You got a filter on. You got, looks like a little compression, compressors in. Some EQ going on, and then the output is jacked up. You got 5 dB gain on the output. But check this out. This is going to be funny. When you turn on and off the Avalon, let's see what happens to the vocals. Oh, that's another thing. You got to make sure your routing's all good. I probably just haven't even checked the routing yet. So I got this session from the artist. It was like a vocal session with the beat, like them writing to the beat. That's pretty typical. And then I got the stems from the producer, like, hey, I need the stems, right? They sent me the stems, etc. So this is going from Vox bus to Vox sum. So we just have to make sure like Vox bus, and then that's going to the Vox sum. So that needs to be unmuted, right? And then on the Vox sum, it looks like they have a few things as well. Yeah, doing some crazy shit here. Not even necessary. Distressor, LA2A, and a standard clip. So we're really pushing a lot of gain to make up for the very first gain stage of it just not being recorded loud enough. See what I'm saying? So this happens a lot, I think, with amateur recordists and people that really just do it all on their own, is they don't understand gain staging. And your gain stage is really like going into your preamp from your microphone. That's where you should at least get like a healthy signal. This doesn't even have a healthy signal. It's very, very dead. But I'll show you what's going on with this gain structure because they're adding so many steps of gain through plugins when they should just be doing clip gain or normalizing or recording hotter, right? Okay, so Vox sum, let's make sure everything's routed still. So Vox sum's going to the sub mix bus. So the sub mix is this master bus here. Now I want to go to probably an all vocal mix, like all drums, all instruments. I always do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that my Vox sum is going to not the sub mix yet, but to a new track, and we'll call this all vocals. Okay, and I do this just so that I can create like instrumental mixes really fast, acapellas really fast, etc. So I'll put all my all vocals, all drums, all instruments, all guitars, etc. So I could just mute, and I got all my instruments muted, all my vocals muted, all my drums muted. But it's after all the processing of the mix buses, the master buses, the the mixing buses, where I'm putting maybe compression or EQ on the full group of tracks. So that's really, really important to my workflow, but you guys work however you want. And then that's going to the submix, which is the master bus. So that's all good. So now we should hear the vocals going through all this processing, and it's just going to be the lead vocal. So let's check it out.
Oh, here we go again, as I open up my eyes. I'll be a morning light when it's dark outside.
Some crazy like chorusing going on. So I don't know if that's like burned into the vocal, but let's listen to just the lead by itself solo.
Oh, here we go again. Oh, here we go again, as I open up my eyes.
Yeah, this is some really confusing, this session's really confusing to me. So just to show you what's going on with the gain here, I'm going to bypass the Avalon. Listen to what happens.
Oh, here we go again, as I open up my eyes. Oh, here we go again, as I open up my eyes.
So that's really, really piss poor gain staging. That's what that is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is no insert. I'm going to get rid of all these. Like, I don't need this distressor. I don't need this LA2A. I don't need this standard clip. I don't need all these plugins. Like, why the fuck we got all these plugins on this bitch? Avalon, don't need it. Like, I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't. And this is pretty typical. Y'all like send a session to a mix engineer. Usually they just like get rid of your shit. Like we see what you're trying to do. It's not working. I hate to be like a dick about it, but let's be real. Like, the fuck you got all these plugins on there for? For gain. That's it. Like, you just need to turn the file up. All right, so let's put the vocal at a reasonable level. You can also normalize. So if you go to Audio Suite and go to like probably I don't know, there's probably like in Avid, like a normalize function or a normalize plugin. LMNOP, yeah, normalize. So you can normalize the waveform. Like, here's what I might do is go like take the level down to like -2 dB or -3 or something. And you can pick either RMS or peak. And when you render it, it's going to normalize your shit, right? So just go through, render it so it's all normalized. Bam. Now we got our gain back. Why didn't that render? What is going on? What the fuck? Come on, you got this. Render. Oh, wow. That's weird. Okay, so we'll do RMS. There we go. Now you can always clip gain it back down, but I hate doing this shit. Just y'all need to just like learn how to record something. Super simple. Plenty of YouTube tutorials that'll show you how to use a mic pre. All right, so Auto-Tune Pro, bam, right? This is the first thing on the chain. Typically, I like my Auto-Tune first thing on the chain. And then I'm going to bypass, I'm going to unsolo that one. Now let's just listen with the gain right.
Oh, here we go again, as I open up my eyes.
Now, you feel me? Like, we got the same level. Got rid of all the plugins, and it sounds damn near the same. Like, I just gained it up. So you go through all these plugins, you literally take the file and you're taking it down in quality every time you add a plugin. Because what does the plugin have to do? The plugin has to resample the audio completely. And, you know, modern day technology and oversampling and 64-bit plugin processing and all that shit, yeah, it's not gonna like, you know, go crazy and like make the quality of your vocal or your take really shitty. But if you start going 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, a bunch of fucking plugins that don't even need to be there, and you're just doing it because you're like, oh man, I got these plugins, I just paid like 10 grand for them, you know what I mean? Like, bro, you're wasting your money. Just learn the skills, like learn the talents. You know, it's really, really important that you guys learn the skill sets. Who keeps hitting dislike? I don't understand. What do you not like about what I'm doing here? And why are you on the live stream? I don't understand. Like, y'all hitting like the dislike. Like, I got 2 thumbs down on this stream. I'm like, who came in here and was like, fuck you, dude. Fuck you for teaching us how to mix. You guys are pieces of shit. Like, go somewhere else. All right. I digress. Thanks to all the real ones, though. The ones showing love, like, appreciate you guys. You guys know what it is. All right, so I'm going to go in here. This lead vocal, very, very simple. I think it needs a little bit of cleanup on some stuff, and that's it, and maybe a little compression. You know what I mean? Like, very, very simple. Nothing crazy. I can hear there's some buildup down here.
Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes. Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes.
So that 700 area gets a little, you know what I mean? Like, just, you know, don't really like it very much.
Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes. Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes.
So that area for this vocal particularly, I don't say like that in every vocal is that, because I hate those TikToks and I hate those YouTubers that are like, every time you open up a vocal, you want to EQ this out and EQ that up, and like, no, you don't. You want to listen. Use your ears. All right. For this vocal, I think it needs to be more open and feel more clear, you know? Here we go again. Like, it needs to be big. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I get from the reference. That's what I get from the style of vocal that he's doing, etc. So that's what I'm doing here. Okay. Right after this, maybe a compressor would be a good way to start to hold this together a little bit. And for me, I think like an R comp would, or RVox would be great. RVox is really cool. It stays warm, and it's just like one of those, like, you know, simple plugins. Like, turn the compressor, you know, just take this down and you're going to be compressing more. And then here's your output gain. Super simple. And then there's a little gate. It's easy.
Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes. Oh, here we go again. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, so I'm keeping their AutoTune Pro settings, just so you know. Like, I don't mess with the settings on AutoTune Pro if someone's like got it set up. Another thing you can do is go in here and kind of like chop and change the gain of stuff. So you can like gain structure it a little bit more so that you're not making the compressor work as hard. And I do that a lot of the times just by reading the waveform. Like this right here, like, what is this? Is it a breath? Is it something we need to hear?
Ooh, just let me live.
Right, so that's gonna like not hit the compressor as hard, which you're not gonna get like the tonalities of what you're trying to do. So you might wanna just like bring that up on a clip gain. Another reason why I love Pro Tools is this exact reason, is the clip gain. I mean, everybody loves clip gain. It's like one of the best things that they ever put into Pro Tools. All right, so yeah, just go through, clip gain the whole lead sort of vibe. And then, yeah, let's listen to this. All we're doing is tuning, a little bit of EQ out here, and a little RVox, okay? That's it. And now let's pop it into the mix. I'm still muting the other vocal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for the new moments, jumping out of place. Here we go again, as I open up my eyes. Oh, here we go again, as I open up my eyes.
All right, so you can start hearing like, okay, this vocal is now at the right gain level, right? It's, you know, regardless of it not really being mixed, it still sounds like, okay, now we got the gain structure a little bit in order. Now, as far as like engineering and being a mix engineer, it's not really like, I don't really want to be going through your fucking stems and like creating your vocal. But I have to with this session because I can see how many chops there are and how many random things are going on, when really like you just need one lead vocal. You might need a double on parts, you know what I'm saying? Maybe some harmonies, maybe some ad-libs, etc. But this is just a mess. Like this, don't give engineers these kind of sessions. This is a fucking mess. Your gain staging's all fucked up. You got clips everywhere. They don't make sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like I got to gain this shit up. Like, and what is this? This is like a exact double. Never do that. Never copy down a vocal to make a double. You're just going to cause phasing issues. Like I can see exactly what this is. It's the exact same file, right? Don't be lazy. Recut a vocal. If you want to double the vocal, meaning record a double. Don't duplicate the track. That's so stupid. A waste of everybody's time and energy. So right here, I'm going to go bam. And he probably did this because the gain was all fucked up, right? So I'm just going to hide and make inactive, right? Bam. See you later. Don't need it. Okay, here's lead vocal 2. Another thing, like I can go shift option 3, create one file from all these clips that is all cut up and shit. And then, you know, gain this up. This is the same thing as normalizing, by the way. When you gain this up, it's the same thing as like going up here, going to Audio Suite, going to Avid, going to normalize, okay? It's just a different way of doing it. It's like normalize it here, right? Bring up the gain of the recording. All right, so these are, you can tell, the betweens. So we need to create a lead vocal out of these clips and make sure, like, see this? Like you're gonna have overlapping and shit. So you got to make sure that you're going to have, like, do you need a second track? Maybe, right? So like for some phrases, for example, you could take this and let's take it off grid and go to slip here real quick. And we'll go bam. And you can go like that and blade and then bring it up, right? And then you could see like, because of the punch, it's going to go over that. And it's just not going to sound right. So you might want to just keep this the same. And listen through everything, of course, but I'm just going to option drag down the Pro Q3 and the RVox. That's it. Okay. And there we go. Let's listen.
And you can't falling into the oh, here we go again, as I open up my eyes. I need you when the sun rises. I'll be a morning light when it's dark outside, shining bright like a star in the night sky. 48, be phantom on the mind. Way, Norman 87 burning bright. Don't look directly into the oh, here we go again, as I open up my eyes. I need you when the sun rises. I'll be a morning light when it's dark outside. They say true.
Okay, so we're like building the lead vocal off of two cuts. Make sense? So yeah, I'm just trying to make a record. You know what I mean? Like you guys sometimes, you know, you send me stuff that's not really a record and you have ideas and you're like, mix this. And it's like, you're really asking me, produce this. Yo, can you produce this shit for me and make it sound like a record? And I'm like, sure. All right, so there you go. Like that's just like a little vibe there. So we got two things there, and then let's gain this shit up and see what we got here. So hopefully you like got something out of that understanding of what's going on here. So same thing here. Like look at this, exact double, just phase, just problems with phase. Why would you do that? You don't need it. Hide and make inactive. Just one lead vocal, bro. We're good. And another thing, if you have that happen, where you have, like someone sends you a session with all these doubles in them and shit, like, what was this? This was the one right here, right? Make sure that you're, yeah, you can see like this is the same as this. That's the same as that. It's all just kind of like doubling up on itself, which is just going to cause so many phase issues and so many issues with your mix. So right now, what I want to do is go to the vocal mix bus here, okay? And this is where everything's going, and then they got a delay, reverb, rap verb, fattening. It's sending to all these things down here. So you can kind of unmute these and see what the headspace was with the effects.
Falling into the future. Oh, here we go. Into the future. Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. I'll be a morning light when it's dark outside, shining bright like a star in the night sky. 48, be phantom on the map.
All right, so that fattening is like way overdone and does not sound musical. It actually sounds really phased. So listen when I pop in the fattening in and out, and listen to the phase problem.
Falling into the future. Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you.
Now you'll notice when I talk about phase, I talk about a shift of the EQ. Getting something out of phase is not always bad, okay? Like, get that idea out of your head that you've been fed from all these fucking clips online, okay? Social media, TikTok, Instagram. You know, if it's out of phase, it's shit. You got to flip the phase. That's just not true. A lot of the times you can flip the phase to be out of phase and something sounds better, right? Because all you're doing is flipping it 180 degrees. So something could be out of phase by 70 degrees and you flip it 180 degrees. It's still out of phase, right? But it could sound better. Something could be perfectly 180 degrees out of phase, which is super rare, and you flip the phase and it's in phase and it sounds worse. So you just have to realize like just look at it as like another color. It's like another way to EQ something or shift the EQ or the timbre of something and give it a different vibe, okay? Maybe you want more low end in something. Maybe you want more high end in something. Maybe you want to shift the mids, right? That's when you can start to flip phase and fuck around with phase. But otherwise, like, understand what you're doing, right? So when you turn on this fattening bus, this is sending 100% to a fattening bus, which is this fattening, which is going to the vocal sum bus, right? So vocal sum is going to be up here. All vocals, vocal sum, probably right above the vocals. So vocal sum bus, right? And then that is going to, I'm going to turn that off. I don't know what the fuck that shit was, but that shit's probably doing something wrong. So you got a duck and a vox side send. I'm going to turn those off. And then that vocal sum bus is going to all vocals. All vocals is going to the master bus, okay? There's nothing on the vocal sum right now, okay? There's nothing on this vocal bus. But you'll notice right away you have a vocal bus going to a vocal sum, right? You get that? Everybody's cool? But then these both had sends on them. So you're sending and then you're sending again. So you're making like duplicates of duplicates, which is going to cause phase. It's just the way it works. Regardless of any sort of delay compensation engine that you have running, use your ears always. Don't trust AI. Don't trust the fucking software. Don't trust the internet. Don't trust me. You know what I mean? Like you gotta use your ears. You gotta trust yourself. And this shit is not, I don't trust it. So duck and vox side. Let's find those. Where the hell are those? What's going on here? You know, like you have to investigate these things. I don't see any of those. I don't see vox side. I don't see a duck. So that could have been just going nowhere and then hitting the master bus again with a duplicate. Don't see anything. All right. And I probably killed it from last session. I was probably like, what is this bullshit? So there you go. Nothing there. I don't see anything there. So that could have just been duplicating things. All right. So I'm going to turn that off, those sends, and let's just listen to this, even with the fattening.
Falling into the future. Oh, here we go again as I open up my eyes.
Okay, so it's definitely the fattening bus now, right? So now I'm looking at the fattening bus and I'm listening to this, okay? This has a doubler, a Q4 on it, and an S1 imager. All sorts of issues here with this send. I do this all the time. One thing I would never do is boost that top end like that. I don't want more top end thrown into my doubler. I just don't think that that's a good idea when it's sent. You can do it as an insert. It's going to sound more musical that way, but not as a send. Another thing, I might want to roll out the top of this as well. Reason being is because I only want that mid-range to be doubled. I don't want S's and shit to be like really stereo. That'd be really weird. So for me, I'll go maybe down to like 4K or so. And then I can mess around also with shaping this, right? Like, do I want to push more into the sides of the 1K, or do I want to take that out and have more of the body of 500 or whatever, so the vocal sounds thicker on the sides, right? So sometimes I'll like go down here and go like, yeah, 500 might be cool to give it some punch in the sides. And that might sound cooler. Let's try it out and let's blend it in, because I feel like it's way too much. And that means I probably want to take the send down. All right, so check this out as I blend it in.
Falling into the future. Oh, here we go again as I open up my eyes. I need you when the sun rises. I'll be a morning light when it's dark outside, shining bright like a star in the night sky. 48, be phantom on the mind. Way, no, I'm in 87, burning bright. Don't look directly into the light. Oh, here we go again as I open up my eyes. I need you when the sun rises.
All right, so play it like an EQ, because you are adding EQ to the sides. And that's what that thing is doing, the fattening. It's literally just the sides. And the way you can hear just the fattening is if you go to a pre-fader send, right? So for example, from this, if I turn this into a pre-fader send, right now it's pre-fader. The fader has nothing to do with it. And then I can mute everything else or solo that out, and then you can hear it, right? So go here, solo the fattening, and make sure the vocals, yeah. Gotta solo the future. Yeah, it's not gonna work like that, because I'd have to have that sent directly from the vocal bus, like not the vocal bus, but the actual vocal. So I'd have to do this basically. Okay, so now you'll be able to hear just what the fattening effect is doing.
Falling into the future.
And right away, you'll hear it. It's panned heavy left, right? So that means you got something fucked up with your doubler. Yeah, so basically the doubler is panned pretty heavy, actually. Let's reset this. I'm just going to pick a preset here that I know and love from Dave Pensato. We'll just go Pensato doubler, and I'm going to tuck back down that high end again, and then we're going to dial this in.
Falling into the future.
And then also make sure your send, the fattening, see this got a pan? Make sure that's panned right, because that's not panned right. That was panned off to the left. So here's what the fattening effect is doing.
Falling into the future.
You hear that? So that is, if you want to go a little wider, you can kind of like bring the gain up here, and you can push this forward a little bit. And you can also take the middle down. See the middle? You can bring that down. And this is just a gain thing, right? Like we're gaining down, we're gaining up the sides.
Falling into the future.
That's more the vibe I'm going for right there. Like the thickness in the sides, okay? So now let's blend that into the mix here.
Falling into the future. Oh, here we go again into the future. Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises.
Right now we're getting the effect that we want. We want like that vocal to be more thick and more in the sides and feel a little bit bigger, a little bit more powerful in the mix. Okay, so don't fuck shit up. Don't go thinking you know what you're doing and like, you know, copy someone's preset and then be like, yeah, it's just gonna leave it. It's not a set and forget it. It's a modular process. You're gonna tweak one thing, it's gonna affect another thing. You know what I mean? You gotta go back and forth. You gotta mess around with shit. Okay, this is the beat. So I'm just gonna hide and make inactive on that shit. And then right now we have a Vox bus going to a Vox sum. I don't think that that's really necessary. I think this is gonna be the Vox bus going to the all Vox. Okay. So we're gonna go all Vox on this. Where is all Vox? Why don't I see it? All vocals. There we go. So this guy can be completely deleted. I don't need that. So don't do unnecessary steps if you don't need them. All right, rap verb bond and the reverb too. Let's check it out.
Falling in. Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. I'll be a morning light when it's dark outside, shining bright like a star in the night sky. 48.
Okay, so these are going to Vox sum, so we need to make sure that all these effects are now going to the all Vox, okay? Make sure all your shit is routed right. Here we go.
Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. I'll be a morning light when it's dark outside, shining bright.
All right, cool. So now we're getting somewhere, right? So now we got, and the big thing about reverbs and delays and shit is like they add EQ as well, right? So, oh, my vocal's too dull. It doesn't sound good. You should throw a saturator and make it crispy and all this bullshit that people want to talk about online. Everything is adding to the vocal. Everything is adding to your EQ. Everything you add is taking away from something else, right? It's taken away from the hi-hats. The hi-hats are taken away from the top of the vocal. The synth is taken away from the mid-range of the vocal. You gotta be careful. You gotta understand what's happening. And you gotta use your ears contently. Like every time you do something, you're like, how's that affecting the thing I want people to listen to? Am I putting a spotlight on that thing or am I dimming that thing down? Right? That's really how I think when I'm mixing. I'm like, am I adding to it or taking away from it? Am I cluttering the mix and taking away from the sense of space? Am I adding too many things? Is it getting congested? Like just constantly go back and forth in your head, right? So we got the lead vocal in. Now the next thing is it's all going to this vocal bus. I need to treat these vocals together so that they start to feel cohesive, if you will, right? So I'm going to throw something on here that's just going to be like a cohesion master. You know what I mean? Anything works, like, but for me, like in this vocal, I want something with a tube in it. I want something kind of like a little bit of harmonics, a little bit of, you know, a little bit of love. So for me, I always think of like a Fairchild would be amazing. I think the 660 sounds better than the 670. You know, don't quote me, don't at me. I don't know why. It's just the way it works. So I'm just going to start with anything. It doesn't matter. I don't even need a preset, really. This is very simple. You got threshold, you got release and attack, time consistent, which is really like if you turn this all the way over, it's going to be a lot slower. If you turn it all the way to the left, it's going to be a lot faster. You got your output, you got your mix knob so you can blend. You got a sidechain filter so you can filter out everything 500 and above. The only thing you want to hit the compression, or you can have everything hitting the compression from, you know, 60 hertz or 20 hertz or whatever all the way up. And then this is the amount of gain input, and this is the threshold, okay? Let's get it.
Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. I'll be a morning light when it's dark outside, shining bright like a star in the night sky. 48, be phantom on the night way. No, I'm in 87, burning bright. Don't look directly into the light. Oh, here we go again. when it's dark outside. Shining bright like a star in the night sky. 48, be phantom on the mind. Way, Norman 87, burning bright. Don't look directly into the light. Here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you.
All right, real simple. Just kind of giving it some glue. That's all I'm trying to do there. Now I want to follow this up with a de-esser, okay? Just try to grab those S's. That's it. So Pro DS is my favorite. Pro DS from FabFilter. Go-to de-esser. Just amazing. I'm going to do the whole range. Actually, I'm going to take the top, let the top go through. Okay, we're gonna go all around, split band or wide band. It just really doesn't matter. Like, just listen to what sounds best.
Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. I'll be your morning light when it's dark outside. Shining bright like a star in the night sky. 48, be phantom on the mind. Way, Norman 87, burning bright. Don't look directly into the light. Here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. I'll be your morning light when it's dark outside. They say, oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. I'll be your morning light when it's dark outside. Shining bright like a star in the night sky. 48.
Cool. So just like dialing things in, you know, messing around with gain and making sure my gain structure is sounding good and it's looking good and everything's good. All that sexy shit. What's up, Hector? Sorry, I'm going to spend a second to say what's up to everybody in the house. You guys throw some thumbs up, show some love if you like the stream. If you don't like the stream, you know, throw a thumbs down. It's goofy when people do that. Like, thumbs down, bro. What's up, Moses? What's up, dude? I'm always trying to drop game. You know what I mean? Yeah, share the live for sure, because you're not going to get a restream unless you know, join the channel and shit. So it's all good. Scott, what's up? All right. Jake, what's up? Got the fam in here. Ah, the Reggae Bible. See? All the same people, all the same good people coming through the stream. Like, I'm going to try to give you guys as much game as I possibly got. And I'm kind of like hungover today. Like, my brother's been in town, and he's a party animal, man. I'm telling you. I wasn't trying to party at all. I'm out late watching live music and shit. Smoking too much weed. Whew, I smoked way too much weed last night. I didn't even try to get high, and I was just like blazed out of my mind. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, Brian. Dude, I don't make up the rules, though. People hate, man. Haters are gonna hate. You know what I mean? I love it. I love the haters. I love them so much. They talk about me, you know? It's cool. They shout me out. They put comments on my posts to help me reach more people with algorithms. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all you haters. I just don't like the naysayers, the people behind your back talking shit that won't like talk shit out public or like, you know, comment on your shit or share your stuff and be like, this guy's an idiot. Like, I need people sharing shit, even if they're haters. Like, I don't mind. But like, don't be back behind my back talking shit, because that doesn't help anybody. You know what I mean? Anyway, I digress off that. What do we got here? There's some weird noise here.
Can't be forgiven unless you learn how to let go and forgive yourself.
Yo, that's not necessary. That sounds like a mistake to me, bro. Let's listen to the whole thing here.
And you can't be forgiven unless you learn how to let go and forgive yourself.
Okay, so maybe it's like a little double action, harmony, stack thing. Some random vocal production here, bro. Like, it's a lot to go through. I'm like, what are you trying to do? Okay, cool. So we got the vocal, like the lead vocal in. So now I want to start putting in other rhythm instruments. Like this sound, let's try to get it out of the way of the vocals a little bit more. Maybe out to the sides.
As I open up, sunrises. I'll be your morning light when it's dark outside. Shining bright like a star in the night sky. 48, be 87, burn it bright. Don't look directly into the light. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. I'll be a morning light when it's dark outside, shining bright like a star in the night sky. 48, be phantom on the night. Way. I need you when the sun rises. I'll be a morning light when it's dark outside, shining bright like a star in the night sky. 48, be phantom on the night. Way. No, I'm in 87, burn it bright. Don't look directly into the light. Here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you. As I open.
All right, so we're giving just a little pre-delay here. That's the whole idea. Just kind of make it have some space in the back. And then from that, I think maybe like a room verb or something like that could be really cool for this. So here I'm just going to hit this with the Valhalla room. So let's go here. Valhalla room. All right, and this is just going to give it a little bit of room. And the pre-delay is fine. It's cool. I like this depth thing, so you can kind of tuck it back and then cut the highs a little bit at the top.
It's 48, be phantom on the night. Way. No, I'm in 87, burn it bright. Don't look directly into the light.
All right, just gives it a little bit of motion, a little more room. Like we're trying to detach it a little bit, make a little sense of space going on, because these are all samples, right? Like the drums aren't recorded in a room. They're trap drums, you know what I mean? So you got to kind of give it a little space. So let's try this guitar as well.
Oh, here we go again.
All right, so that's super, I would actually even just call that a pluck. I'm gonna keep that muted. I'm gonna take these out the all instruments, because these are all instruments here. Make sure they're going out the bus and marrying everything, right? Or else it's gonna be like super detached. So instrument mix bus, there you go. And I'll put this guy in.
Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sunrise. When it's dark outside, shining bright like a star in the night sky. 48, be phantom.
Yeah, that's dope. I like that. I think it gives some motion to things. Kind of pretty tight. Like that. Yeah, dude, I was smoking crazy shit last night. I haven't smoked in so long. Because, I try to keep my head really clear. I've been mixing, I got to do like content, I got to do a lot of stuff. So like, I just don't really do awesome with like weed. And last night I smoked this really heavy stuff, and I just took like one rip and I was like, phew, see you later, guys. Crazy, bro. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Yo, Jordan, I appreciate the love. That's what's up. Yeah, y'all got to get that Logic pack. I mean, look, it's like, it's all just starting points for everybody. But I'm trying to help make sure you guys are getting the learning as well, because I don't want you guys to be sold on this idea that you're going to buy some presets and like you're going to be this dope mixer, or your music's going to be like insanely good now. Like, you got to really learn this shit like spend time on it, you know? So I appreciate that, man. Really appreciate the love. And, you know, I do all that stuff really like for free for the most part. I mean, I have to spend ad dollars to connect with people. So at the end of the day, I just like break even on any of that shit. So when you guys pick it up, it's just my way of connecting with new people, you know, just like these live streams. Like, I'm not charging you guys anything for this. You know what I mean? This is free 99, baby. All right, so I'm gonna mess around with this guitar and see where it's really sitting as far as like where is the fundamental.
Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. Oh.
See, that doesn't take much. That's just a little bit of EQ. I think that sounds great. So good for now. Let's pop in this pluck here.
Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. I'll be your morning light when it's dark outside, shining bright like a star in the night sky. 48, be phantom on the mind. Way, Norman 87, burn it back. Don't look directly into the eye. Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. I'll be your morning light when it's dark outside, shining bright like a star in the...
Do y'all hear that? Like, that's exactly what I was talking about. Like, you hear these like little aliasing, distorted top end kind of shit that's going on in a lot of these sounds, and they're not necessary. You don't hear that at all. The hi-hats are all over it. The vocals are all over it. Like the snare drum's all over it, the clap, whatever. Like I'll put this in and out. Like I'll bring it up so you can like have the high end come in, and I'll bring it back down. You don't miss it. You're not going to hear it.
As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. I'll be your morning light when it's dark outside, shining bright like a star in the night sky. 48.
If anything, it just makes the record sound noisy and fucked up. Like, yo, what is that weird high end, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, be deliberate with your high end. Be deliberate with your low end. And for God's sake, just be very deliberate with your mid-range. Like, your mid-range is everything. This is where all the money's at. You know what I mean? Like, low end is really hard for people to get right because they can't hear it. Let's be real. Like, y'all aren't hearing your low end the way you need to hear it in your room, off your speakers, off your headphones. Like, you're just not hearing it right. And that's the hardest part for most people, is to get the low end right, because the low end affects the mid-range and the high end, right? So if you put more low end in something or less low end in something, you're going to hear more or less of the other frequencies. People really don't get that. They do not understand the balancing act that is mixing. It's a very, very subtle like shift of things. And when I take out this is going to be, you know, boosting something else. You know what I mean? Because your ear is going to hear more of something else. So if I take that top out that has that like really whistly sound, that you know, digital distortion kind of sound, like Serum or whatever, you're not going to miss it. It's just adding noise to your record and voltage, and it's making things sound different. It's shifting everything else. So just be careful with that stuff.
Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. I'll be your morning light when it's dark outside, shining bright like a star in the night sky. 48, be phantom on the mind. Way, Norman 87, burn it.
Right, so those are cool sounds. They kind of keep the pace and the rhythm of the record on the chorus and stuff, which I think is cool. And those are good decisions when you're doing a very legato passage on the melody. You know, here we go again. Dun, 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 You know, it like just kind of gives movement under it, which I think is cool. So good choice there. And now let's, yeah, there's really not much to this record. Let's like really start to hone in on this shit. So we have a chord, we got these, we got little guitar end. I don't know what this is, but let's pop it in.
Oh, here we go again. Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go again.
Okay, so I like this idea. This guitar arp has like a little bit of a chorusy kind of vibe, which is really dope, but these other instruments don't really fit with it. So we might want to chorus the instruments a little bit as well.
Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. I'll be your morning light when it's dark outside, shining bright like a star in the night sky.
All right, that's starting to really come together. Now I want to give like a little bit more stank on the vocal. It's just not star power enough now. So like that's something I do in mixing. I try to like make something sound really good, and then I try to get the other thing to sound even better, and then I go back on the other thing and I get it to that level, and I try to keep beating the level that it's at. Hopefully that makes sense. So Pro DS, I think something that's gonna have a little bit of stank on it. Maybe Spectre could be cool for this. Trying to think, maybe even CLA vocals would be cool. There's a lot of really like fun shit you could do on vocals, so try to be very trying to think of the vibe I want. I think it needs to sound expensive is what I hear in my head. Like it's shiny and expensive, but like still warm and fat, you know what I mean? So yeah, there's a lot of ideas that I got that I can use here. First thing I'm gonna do though is I think I'm gonna try to just hit it with Spectre and just give it a little bit of harmonic kind of color up here somewhere. And I think it's probably like around the 3K or so.
Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. I'll be your morning light when it's dark outside, shining bright like a star in the night sky. 48, be phantom on the night. Ooh, hey, no, I'm in 87. need you when the sun rises. I'll be a morning light when it's dark outside. They say true. Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. I'll be a morning light when it's dark outside, shining bright like a star in the night sky. 48, be phantom on the mind. Way, Norman 87, burning bright. Don't look directly into the oh, here we go again.
All right, just trying to give it a little bit more star power, right? So sometimes that just means like expensive means to me it's like harmonics. It's like harmonic distortion from like really good gear. In this case, the Spectre's doing it. We're distorting a little bit like tape on the top. We're using tube like on that 3K, which I think will get a little aggressive at certain points. And then 134 using tape down there. I think even tube or warm would be cool here. Let's hear it.
Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises.
All right, that's sounding really nice. And then I want to hit it with another compressor right after it. The next compressor, I want it to be a little bit more colorful in a different way, right? So like different compressors have different colors always. Fairchild, I'd say, is like really gluey and really warm. And yeah, it kind of adds like a warm analog feel to it, which makes it feel softer. That's the best way I can explain it without getting really technical about all the tubes and the transformers inside of a, inside of a Fairchild and all that shit. But yeah, it's the reason I drive the input gain a little bit is to get the color of the input transformer. And to push the tubes a little bit harder, right? But the Spectre is doing kind of that as well when you go to like tube setting here. So, but I'm only doing it in a specific frequency range, okay? So it makes it like a little bit more spitty, etc. Now I want to kind of like hold it all together and get more like mid-range tightness. I don't really know how to explain it, but I'll show it to you. If that makes sense. Okay, so I'm gonna try doing this soft tube. I think I have it in UAD, probably. So the Tube Tech is really great for this kind of stuff. I love the Tube Tech for it. Trying to find either that or the Neve. The thing with the Neve though, like if you use a 33609, you got to get ready for like very definitive mid-range. Sometimes so definitive that the mid-range will just like push so far forward. So you got to be really careful with that. That's the only issue I have with this compressor. So it's usually used for like a stereo bus, right? Like a bus compression, but it can sound really cool on vocal bus as well. So I don't disregard it. I'm just saying it can be super mid heavy. Like it pushes like the 800 to 2K area really forward. But yeah, let's just throw it on like on a mix bus setting. Okay, so here's a mix bus setting. 3 to 1 is probably a little crazy here, but we're gonna adjust it.
Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. I'll be a morning light when it's dark outside, shining bright like a star in the night sky. 48, be phantom on the mind. Way, Norman 87, burning bright. Don't look directly into the oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. I'll be a morning light when it's dark outside. They say,
Yo, like how beautiful is that? You know what I mean? Like I don't typically just like turn on a compressor and go, that's perfect for this vocal. But like the range that this vocal is in, this is just like butter for it. And now you notice a couple things I tweaked, and I'll explain it, right? So I started to tweak the threshold so that I'm not hitting this as hard, but I took the ratio up to 2 to 1 instead of 1.5 to 1, which means it's compressing more. So, you know, every 2 dB, you get 1 out. Every 1.5 dB, you get 1 out. Every 6 dB, you get 1 out, etc. So I got it at 2 to 1 because I feel like it made it just really, really smooth, really buttery. Nothing's going, you know, now it's like, made it sound like he controlled his voice a lot more. So that's really what I'm using there. Threshold, trying to hit like around that SSL G series, you know, kind of vibe. You want to hit around that 3 to 4 dB and it's just like smooth. Okay, but then if I compress that hard with something like this or an SSL, like a G series, like, you know, bus compressor, I parallel. So that's what the dry wet knob is here. So now we're using parallel compression on the vocal bus. Hopefully that all makes sense.
Oh, here we go again. As I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. I'll be a morning light when it's dark outside, shining bright like a star in the night sky. 48, be phantom on the mind. Way, Norman 87, burn it back. Don't look directly into the as I open up my eyes, I need you when the sun rises. I'll be a morning light when it's dark outside. They say true love.
All right, so yeah, this is just sounding really buttery. It also kind of helps the different comps sound like it's just one vocal, right? That's the whole idea. That's really what I'm trying to do here. To use any acoustic plugins. You know, I used to I used to mess around with some of their stuff, but they didn't like keep the updates. Like I had these certain plugins I paid money for and I couldn't use them. And then I kind of stopped using them as much. And then I started realizing also the Acoustica stuff was like super heavy on CPU. And then I just started turning them off. And then I was like, wait, I don't need these. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost too much. Like they just are doing too much. So like, you know, when I'm using heavy plugins like a 33609, I really love that it's UAD and it's running off my cards. You know what I mean? It's like offloading it to the CPUs on the DSP cards. And I have like, I think 24 cores or something of processing there. So that's, yeah, it's hard for me to use the Acoustica anymore. I would have massaged the highs a little bit, unless that's the effect you're going for. I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest with you. I'm just mixing. I'm not to like massaging any sort of highs right now. But appreciate the comment. Yo, what's up, man? It's good to see you, Kusa. Always. Good to see you. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Awesome. That's what's up. That's what's up. The fam is in the house. All right. Yeah. So now I got the vocals in, right? Like I've got the vocals like tight and I got them in the mix a little bit, right? So like now I'm like, okay, now the vocals are sounding good. Let's start putting in other elements of the mix. And now I notice there's a bunch of vocals down here. So let's see what else he has here for the leads and make sure we're getting all of these in. And we're also making sure that these are all together because this is a mess. So we'll put them together and then we'll also, we can normalize these back up to like 33 dB up or whatever. But these look like they're more like ad-lib punch stab kind of things. So let's just make sure that, that these are all kind of going through the same thing here.
Oh, here we go again. Need you when the sun rises.
So you notice he did it again, right? Like he has, this is like a double, but a duplicate of this. And you really don't want that. Like that is not going to work. Like listen to what happens to the phase and the EQ of the vocal and the image smearing in the mid range when this vocal hits right here on top of it.
I need you when the sun rises. I need you when the sun rises. I need you when the sun rises.
You see what I'm saying? Like it's like, what? Like it's almost like, you know what I mean? It's just smearing it. It's smearing the mid-range. We got Drew. Bradley, did you do any volume automation on the Vox, or is this as you got it? This is everything as I got it, bro. Like I'm literally working from the client's session and, you know, building my own chains and stuff for certain things, putting it through my mix buses, etc. But yeah, this is like, as I got the session, and then I dropped in the beat stems because his session was mixed to the beat, the full stereo bounce. So I'm just like working through these as I see them. And there's a lot of issues with this session. And you see this? Another duplicate of the vocals. Anywhere where he's just like duplicating the vocals instead of doubling them is going to sound phasey and weird, and it's just going to sound fucked up. So I got to be really weary of that stuff. Like this, total duplicate. See how it's just exactly the same waveform? This may be different here, which is super random. Super random, like double that's not the same. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of issues with this session that I'm going through, and I'm like, oh, that's not, yeah, mute that, get rid of that, hide that. You know what I mean? Like we got to get rid of shit and clean up and play kind of, you know, tidy up shit. But let's listen to this.
I'm still learning. I'm still learning. I'm still learning. I'm still learning how to.
Right? So those are a little different, but that's weird because then it's like this is the same exact thing. It's a copy.
Ooh, just let me live. I'm still learning how to move along. How to move along.
There's some weird shit going on. Like I don't know why that's there. So let's blade this, let's mute it, and let's hear this phrase again.
Ooh, just let me live. I'm still learning how to move along. Ooh, just.
Okay, much better. So like why this? To screw it up, to make it sound all pitchy and weird, to make it phased out and make it like chorusy. Like, you know, if the artist wants that vibe on their track, we can use effects for that. You know what I mean? But for now, I'm like, no, that doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound right to my ear. And so I'm going to mute it and just kind of go through these vocals. And I'm realizing a lot of these are useless, right? But there might be little ad-libs and things in here that I might use.
She's kind. She's really into games, the kind like playing with your mind. She gets away with it all the time, cause she's a fine dime, one that stays on your mind.
All right, and then this is where I might make a new track. I might go, hey, I'm gonna duplicate this lead, and I'm just gonna call this, I'm gonna call this ad-libs. You know what I mean? And I'm just gonna bring up ad-libs, because this session's just such a mess. So I'm gonna blade this, right? Bam. I'm gonna bring this up. That's ad lib. This looks like it could be an ad lib as well, like in here. So I just want to go through all this and like figure out what's what, because this is a real disastrous session. I'm kind of embarrassed to be streaming this, to be honest with you guys. So let's go here and let's bring this up. Dude, 36 dB. That's as much as I can do on gain on this. See, like that kind of stuff, I'm like, why? I'm not going to use that, bro. Like, it's like, nah, sorry. So I just got to go through and go, what's going to make the record dope? And then I'm going to mix it how I think the record's going to be dope. Unless this was very organized and like I could listen to the reference and go, yeah, it all makes sense really well. It's all crafted very well. Like I have to play my role of making the shit hit. You know what I mean? Like if I didn't get the right ingredients, I'm going to buy the ingredients, or I'm going to go, you know, I'm going to use different ingredients. Like I did with the kick drum here, you know what I mean? Like I dropped in a sample, I auto-aligned it to the original kick, and I blended in my own sample because that shit wasn't hitting. Like if I mute my kick sample and we just use their kick.
Here we go again, as I open up my eyes.
I'm saying? Like, you got to do what you got to do. You guys have any questions before I get out of here? I'm gonna kind of take an ear break, but also I gotta, you know, move on to something else. Anything? I appreciate you guys coming through the stream for sure. And you know, a big part of this kind of mix is organizing and taking care of the client. You know, making sure, like, when it's someone that's kind of starting out, which I could tell, like, this artist is starting out. You know, they haven't been doing this long. They probably don't have very many records released. You know what I mean? So I have to help them. Like, when they release something like this, it's like ready to go. It's like, wow, this is a great presentation of what you're trying to do as an artist and the foundation you're trying to set, the bar you're trying to set. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people are out there trying to make records and dropping bullshit, and they have no chance in hell of making it in music if they don't get help, if they don't work with people that know how to help them. They're just going to be dropping and trying to figure this out, while technology and everybody else that's so much better and so much more ahead of them are just going to go so much further, and they're just never going to get in the game because they're like, oh, I thought you just do this like it's 1998. Like, everything's changed, bro. Like, the music industry, the way we mix is changing. Like, the tools I'm using now for, like, the final mixing and mastering, like, these come out like every fucking month. You know what I mean? Like, these plugins, like Master Plan, this just came out, bro. Like, I'm using, like, everything that I'm using is going to be like top of the top. Variable mu, Manly, UAD stuff. Like, I have all the UAD stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I am, like, locked in. Waves, I have all their shit. Y'all should get some Waves plugins. Like, figure it out. Use the technology. You know what I mean? Like, I have fast ass computer. Like, we gotta, the speakers, the room, everything matters, right? The skill set, the years and years and years of just, like, listening and dialing in tone and understanding different genres and what they need to sound like and comparing records and all that stuff. So appreciate y'all for coming through. And if you want the replay, you can join the channel, $5 a month. You get replays to everything. So you got, like, literally, I don't know, hundreds of hours of live streaming mixes in different genres. All right. Appreciate you guys. Peace.